Greetings, friend, and welcome to the Between the Covers podcast, where we are working every day to remove the self-limiting beliefs that are preventing us from becoming the heroes of our own stories. I am Marcus Spar, and today I want to talk about an inspirational quote that I heard on yet another White Homework podcast. The title of the podcast is How We Have Hope, and they quoted this individual named Andrew, and I wish I could find who this Andrew is and give appropriate credit. One of them shared this quote, and this individual Andrew, shout out to whoever this Andrew is who quoted this, said, "I can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I can see the light in all of you." I feel this is something very important for us to remember, especially during this time when, for many of us, there's just a lot of darkness around us. There's a lot of depression, there's a lot of anxiety, grief, sadness. I've had some friends check in with me recently just to kind of see how things are, and I've shared with them, things have not been good. Things have not been good for us recently. And Libby and I have had 2 scares about losing our health insurance. We are constantly battling with our budget as things continue to get more expensive. And yet it's not the same income, or it is the same income that's coming in, and trying to figure out, how do we manage all of this? I know there are a lot of people that share very similar sentiments. In fact, I even had a conversation with my mother, and she was expressing how things have been challenging for her lately as well. And it can be so easy to just stay within the darkness of this tunnel that we find ourselves in and be lost in that misery, be lost in that uncertainty, in the fear. And a big reminder for me with this quote is we don't have to do this alone. I can't tell you how much I would be suffering if it wasn't for the support system that I have. I have good friends that I get together with and communicate with frequently. I have people in my life who care deeply about me. I have people who will listen to my words when I express my needs. I do the same for them. I have had to ask some friends just how much I could do with a good hug, because man, things have been rough. In my 40 years, I never, ever would have expected going through something like this. I never would have expected seeing these mass deportations, hearing stories of people who are not given due process when they are accused of being people that they're not, being accused of being affiliated with organizations that they don't affiliate with, of having day after day after day of little news clips of the threat of tariffs, of Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security being stripped away from millions of people, of seeing people in power who just care nothing for someone like me, who doesn't care for the average human, the average American. Not even just Americans, who don't care about people in the world around them, that were just like a means to an end. I never, ever would have expected to be a part not even be a part. But I never ever would have expected to see so much despair around me, and in a lot of cases feel like there's not much I can do about it. And I'll admit, I'm lucky. Yeah, I live in a very Republican area of Washington state, and yet it's not the Republicans who have control of this state. And that's not to say that Democrats have things all figured out either. However, if it wasn't for Libby, if it wasn't for my friends, if it wasn't for some of my family who I can turn to, who know the struggles that we're going through here, who understand the strain that we're under, I don't know where I'd be today. I would not be recording almost 100 episodes of a podcast. I would likely be running scared, because in a lot of ways all I can see around myself is the darkness and the despair. I can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I don't even know if there will be a light at the end of this tunnel. I don't know. At the time of this recording, there's legislation that is working through the House right now that's going to make it even harder for people to enact their constitutional right to vote. God, I was just thinking today when I saw this, it's like, good thing Libby and I finally got passports. The first time I ever had a passport. Second time Libby's ever had one. Thank God we have them, because they're going to be necessary for us to vote if this legislation passes. But seeing how much the Republicans are just bending to the will of Trump and the billionaires that are in charge, I will not be surprised if this actually becomes legislation that passes, and there's going to be a large portion of the US population that can no longer vote anymore. I don't know when the darkness of this tunnel is going to end. I really don't. And every single day the tunnel seems to be longer and longer and longer, because of all of the bullshit that just keeps happening in DC. And instead of being lost in this despair, instead of wallowing, instead of lying down in the fetal position and just waiting for death to come, I instead have the light of many people around me. I have been taking more of an interest in some of the other interests of my friends. Our friend Ben, he's come over like 2 times now, and we want to make this an almost weekly thing where he comes over, we go over to his place, and he's introducing us to his favorite anime of all time. This is something that I can look forward to. This is me taking the time to bond with a friend, and we can mutually support each other through these difficult times. I'm still getting together every other Friday with my friend Brandon for brunch, just to be able to talk life. We oftentimes do talk a lot about Dungeons and Dragons, and yet having this group of people that I know love me and support me, even the quirky, spiritually deconstructed person that I am, they still love me, and I can see the light in them. And it does a lot to take that darkness away. It does a lot to take that despair away. In fact, we were supposed to play some more Dungeons and Dragons this last weekend, but I don't know what's going on around here, but there are so many illnesses that are just getting people down. Whether it's like the flu, if it's colds, if it's bronchitis, whatever it is. I didn't even get to meet with my therapist this week because she came down with one of the bugs going around here. We were not able to get together to role play and take a break from our realities and just have some good food and fun and laughter and drama. And instead of just saying, well, not much we can do about that, most of us got together to just play some games online, and we were all on a Discord call. We weren't even playing the same game. It was a much needed respite from everything that had taken place last week. Having these other people in my life who can be these beacons of light to just dispel the darkness, even if it's just for a little while, or if it's just a small distance as we walk down this dark tunnel together. That's one of the things that is helping me get through this. It's amazing what can happen with the power of one person who is at your side. I sincerely hope that you have more than one person, but having at least one person in your corner, one person there supporting you, one person who can be that light in the darkness, because we need to be the light for others. We can even be the light for ourselves. But it's so easy to give into that despair. It's so easy to give into that fear. And what ends up happening is we can't always rely on our own light. Having others there who can be that light in the dark tunnel, and we can be the light for them. We can share that responsibility. We can share that love. We can share that compassion. We can have people who give us healthy distractions. If we are just overwhelmed by the inundation that is taking place today, that is the power of having at least one person in your corner. And I want you to consider, who is someone in your life that can help shine a light in this darkness. And we can go down the spiritual road that is often said in Christianity of being that light on the hill, being that beacon for someone else. Who can be that beacon for you? Who can be someone who walks beside you with a candle, a flashlight, a lantern, whatever it is? Who can be that person who can walk beside you? We're not going to make this on our own. We can't. There's no way for us to be able to make it through this really crazy time individually. And we are a very social species. It is important for us to have that social connection. So I really want to stress and just hammer this point home. If you don't have someone who is supporting you, then it's important to find that someone. I have a client who contacts me pretty much every single week. And my heart just bleeds for this young man, because it seems like every single week there's something else that's thrown at him. There's something else he needs to figure out. And he can't catch a break. And he tries to press into his community. And he ends up being let down a lot. I try and do what I can to be there for him, to be that light for him. And sometimes the best that I can do is just say, man, I'm so sorry. I don't have an answer for you, but you're welcome to vent to me. You're welcome to just get whatever it is off your chest. I would not be able to help him if I didn't have my friends supporting me so that I could be a light in this young man's life. We need each other. And in this age when it seems like so many people here within the US who have the megaphones and the platforms, and they are trying to just divide us, we need to come together even more. There is no us and them. There really is only us. And I really want to go down a complete tangent about the importance of us just loving each other through all of this. And I will save you from me getting on my soapbox about this. I can understand what a lot of these conservative Christians are trying to do. They're afraid. They're afraid of losing their power. They're afraid of losing the moral direction of this country, and not even just that, but of the world. And we do really crazy things when we are afraid. Really crazy things when we are afraid. I get that this is driven by fear, or it's driven by a desire for power. I also have some people in my life who do not fit the bill of what the Republicans and the conservative Christians are saying is acceptable. And I find them to be very acceptable in my eyes. And these are some of the people that have been the brightest beacons of joy and hope in my life. I think that's what a lot of this comes down to. A lot of this comes down to hope. It can be really hard for us to find any kind of hope with all this bullshit going on around us. When, God, I thought 2023 was going to be the dumpster fire year. And 2025 is like, oh, guess what? I'll show you, hold my beer. It can be very challenging to find hope. And if I'm by myself, it can be really hard for me to find that hope. That's why I'm not going to look for the light at the end of the tunnel. Because I don't know if I'm ever going to see it. I don't know what's going to happen over the next 3, maybe even 7 years. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know where I'm going to be. The future is so unknown. But what is known is there are people who are walking with me, who are joining me in this uncertain time. And we're walking through this tunnel hand in hand. And when one of us starts to feel despair and our light starts to dim, we still have so much light around us from the people who are with us on this journey. That's what I need to get through this time. By the time I end up in the dirt, I don't know if I'm ever going to get out of this tunnel. I have no clue. So instead of putting my hope in something that is so far off in the distance that I may never ever get to see it, I'm instead going to put my hope in these beautiful, loving, and lovely people in my life. I hope you can find people like this. I hope you have people like this in your life. If you don't, then I do sincerely hope you can find them And if you do not have people in your life that can support you through this, then you got to keep looking. They're out there. They are out there. And in this day and age, when it is so easy for us to find people who have shared ideals, who have shared values, who can be with us, sometimes we just need to keep looking, and sometimes we need to change where we look. So press into these people or find them. Be that person for someone else. Be that person who can be that beacon of hope and love during these dark times. We need people like you. I need to be that person. And sometimes I need that person to help me get back on my feet and keep going. And until next time, live strong for today.